Good morning, class. It's Miss Mazzullo. Today, we are going to read one of my favorite books. The title of this book is A House for Hermit Crab. It's written by the same author that we've read The Hungry Caterpillar, The Grouchy Ladybug. His name is Eric Carle. So we see this is a hermit crab. Now, a hermit crab has to change its shell because when it grows, it needs to go out in the world and find a shell that's going to protect him or she. Now remember, Eric Carle is also an illustrator. That means he draws the pictures. So an author writes the words and the illustrator draws the pictures. And one of the favorite things that I like about Eric Carle's books are what a great job he does on the illustrations. They're always very colorful. You don't see a lot of white space on paper, and he just draws and uses colors in a beautiful way. Now, before I read the book, I wanted to just tell you a little bit about hermit crabs. Hermit crabs live on the ocean floor. Their skin is hard except for their abdomen, which is very, very soft. To protect the soft spot of their abdomen is what we call our stomach. To protect that, they borrow a shell and they make this their home. They're only there, only its face, feet, and claws stick out from the shell. That way, it can see, walk, and catch its food. When a hermit crab is threatened, that means that they're afraid that they're going to get eaten from another animal. It withdraws. That means it goes into its shell, just like a turtle. It'll go into its shell until the danger has passed. So we see this hermit crab sees a shell. And remember, it has a soft what? It has a soft abdomen, a soft stomach. So it's going to go in the shell, and here you see it walking with the shell. And then all of a sudden, look what's coming up here. There's an animal that wants to eat it. What is the hermit crab going to do? It's going to go into its shell. Now, this book also talks about the months. A month is something like January, February, March, April, May. What month are we in now? You're right, we're in June. We're in the month of June. So this book starts in January. So here we go. Time to move, said Hermit Crab one day in January. I've grown too big for this little shell. He had felt safe and snug. That means nice and cozy, like you feel in your blanket. He had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug and he couldn't walk comfortably. Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and went onto the floor of the ocean. But it was frightening. It was scary out in the ocean without a shell to hide in. What if a big fish comes along and attacks me and eats me up, he thought. I must find a new home soon. You see here the illustrator did this. Let's count these fish over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, first month was January. What month comes after January? February. Early in February, Hermit Crab found just the house he was looking for. It was a big shell and it was strong. He moved right in, wiggling and waggling about inside to see how it felt. It felt just right. but it looks kind of, sort of plain. That means it has no decorations on it. The hermit crab thought to himself, I want to put something on that shell. Now, I want you, as I'm reading the book, look to see what's happening with the hermit crab. Look at his size. Is he getting bigger? Is he getting smaller? Are the shells he needs, are they getting bigger or smaller? Okay, here we go. Next month. Remember, we had January, February. What month comes next? March. In March, hermit crab met some sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water. How beautiful you are, said the hermit crab. Would one of you be willing to come and live on my house? It's so plain, it needs you. I'll come, said the little sea anemone. Gently, hermit crab, because they're very spiky, very gently, hermit crab picked it up with his claw and he put it on his shell. What do you think is going to happen next? Remember the months. January, February, March. Now it is April. In April, hermit crab passed a flock of starfish moving slowly along the seafloor. How handsome you are, said the hermit crab. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house? I would, signal a little sea star. I would be willing to decorate your shell. Carefully, hermit crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his house. Now, where does the hermit crab and all these animals live? Where's their habitat? A habitat is a place where animals and people live. Where are they living? Their habitat is the ocean. Okay, remember, going over the months again. January, February, March, April. What's going to come now? It's going to be May, which was last month. In May, Hermit the crab discovered some coral. They were hard and they didn't move. How pretty you are, said the hermit crab. Would one of you be willing to make my house more beautiful? Remember, he didn't like the way his shell was because it was too plain. He's decorating it now. I would, creaked a crusty coral, gingerly. That means very, very, very carefully. Hermit crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on the shell. Why did he have to do it so carefully? Remember what it said on this page? It said that the coral was hard and it was very prickly. What do you think of what his shell looks like? And look at the hermit crab. What's happening to his size? It looks like he's still fitting in there pretty well, doesn't he? Okay, it's a new month. Guess what? It's the month that we're in now. Let's go back from the beginning. January, February, March, April, May. Now it is, what month is it? June. In June, hermit crab came to a group of snails crawling over a rock on the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and little piece of debris. That means little pieces of things that grow or on the ocean floor. And they were leaving a neat path behind them. How tidy and neat you are. You're cleaning up the ocean floor. Would one of you be willing to come and help clean my house? Don't you love when somebody cleans your house? I would, said one of the snails. Happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and he placed it on his shell. Okay, remember a new month. What comes after June? Does anybody know? Think about it. Let's go back again. What was the first month? January. Let's say it together. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. That will be next month. In July, Hermit Crab came upon several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. How fierce you look. Would one of you have been willing to protect my house so that no animal would go near it? I would, answered a spiky sea urchin. Remember carefully, we use our hands to pick up things. What does this what is this hermit crab use? It uses its claws. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and he placed it on top of his shell. Now, after July, what month comes? Here we go. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. In August, Hermit Crab and his friends wandered into the forest of seaweed. It's so dark in here, thought Hermit Crab. How dim it is. That means it's very dark, murmured the sea anemone. How gloomy it is, whispered the starfish. How murky it is, complained the coral. I can't see, said the snail. It's like nighttime, said the sea urchin. Now, all of this is happening in the sea. They're going into a section that it's very, very dark. And guess what? The bottom of the sea is very dark. New month. Here we go. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. In September, Hermit Crab spotted a school of lantern fish darting through the dark water. How bright you are, said the Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to light up my house? It's so dark here. I would, said one of the lantern fish, and it swam over to the shell. And see here again how dark this illustration is, because again, I said it's very, very dark at the bottom of the ocean. Now, here we go again. It's a new month. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Next month is October. That's when Halloween is. October. In October, Hermit Crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles. How sturdy you are, said the Hermit Crab. Would you mind if I rearrange you and change you around? Not at all, said the pebbles. Hermit Crab picked up one by one with his claw and he built a wall around its shell. Now my house is perfect. It's decorated. It has lights on it. I have animals that are protecting it. It is perfect. I love my home. Let's see what happens. We're on the next month. Let's go back again. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's when we have Thanksgiving. November. In November, Hermit Crab felt that his shell was getting tight and too small. And little by little, over the almost one whole year, which is 12 months, over one whole year, hermit crab had grown just like you grow. You could ask your parents to show a picture of what you look like. 1 year ago, you were smaller. Now you're bigger. Hermit crab is bigger after 1 year. Soon, he would have to find another bigger house. He would have to find a bigger shell because his house, his shell, his habitat is too small. But he had come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. You have been so good to me, thought the hermit crab. You are like my family. How can I ever leave you? Here comes the next month. This is the last month of the year. So we said there's 12 months. Let's hear it. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, then December. It's the last month. That's when we have Christmas, we have Hanukkah. In December, a small hermit crab passed by. I have outgrown my shell, she said. Would you know a place for me? This hermit crab says, I have outgrown my shell too. I must move on. But you know what? You can use my shell if you would like. You're welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good to my friends. I promise, said the little crab. Thank you so much for sharing your home. You have to go out and get a new one, but I would love to live in your home. The following January, the next month, the beginning of the year, the following January, hermit crab stepped out and the little crab moved in. I couldn't stay in that little shell forever, said the hermit crab as he waved goodbye. Sometimes we get too big for things. You get too big for your clothes. You can get too big for your bike. You can get too big for things, just like the hermit crab got too big for its shell. And sometimes it's hard to leave things when we get too big for them. Now, the ocean for the hermit crab had to do what? He had to find a new shell. It's hard work, but that's what you have to do when you get older. So the ocean floor looked wider than he had remembered, but hermit crab wasn't afraid because he knew what he needed to do. Soon, he spied the perfect house, a big empty shell, and it looked, well, a little plain. So what does he have to do? He has to decorate it. Some other things that are living, he goes, what can I decorate it with? There's sponges that live in the water. There's barnacles. There's clownfish. There's sand dollars. There are electric eels. There's so many possibilities that I could make a new home. I can't wait to get excited. Even though I'm sad that I have to leave my old home, I'm excited that I can make a new home. And all of you know, at a certain point, you might live in a new home, or some of you have moved before, just like the hermit crab. So children, today's work is going to be, this week's work is going to be all about this book. Lots of different vocabulary we learned. It was a long story, but I want to know what you think about it. I miss you all. Hope you're doing well. Sending kisses and love. Take care, children. Bye.